What's up, everybody? So I've been driving the 2023 Toyota Prius Prime for a whole week now, and as you can hear, the gas engine is running, but a lot of this week I was driving in fully electric mode, and it's really well done. I already covered the Prius Prime in great detail in my regular review video, and so I will link that at the end of this one if you're wanting to hear all my thoughts on the Prius Prime and all the specs and all that. But as far as this video, it's just focusing on what it's like to live with and things that I observed here over the week. So the one big cool thing about this one in particular is it has the solar roof. So I was able to do a test and kind of see, just how much range you can actually get from the roof. Whenever it was delivered to me, it didn't have any battery charge, so I got a chance to charge it up from basically 0 all the way up to 100%. And on just a normal 120 volt, house current plug, I actually charged up in 9.5 hours. They quote 11 hours, but it only took me 9.5 to get that full charge. Once I had that full charge, it originally was quoting me a 32-mile range, which is strange because these are rated at 39 miles. That was really low. But as I started to drive, it then went up to about 40 miles of range that it was quoting me there. And in the end, I ended up getting about 47 miles of range out of this battery before it actually had to kick on the gas engine. So the first 47 miles of my week were all completely electric, and it was, again, extended by that solar roof. So as far as my observations with the solar roof, so in my situation, the car was getting direct sunlight around noon. It was pretty sunny basically the whole week here, but it didn't really start to get any sunlight until the afternoon. And so with a full afternoon of sitting out in the sun, it usually would gain somewhere between 2 to 4 miles of range, which I actually am impressed with. It's a lot more than I was expecting, to be totally honest. And then if you are living somewhere where you have direct sunlight from sunrise to sunset, you could potentially see, I'd say, at least 5 to 6 miles of actual electric driving range added every day by the solar roof. It's actually, I think, a good amount. That's, again, more than I was expecting. Toyota didn't really quote or, claim anything about the solar roof, really, but I'm just happy to say that, it's a good amount of range. And it's only $610 for this solar roof as well, so it's not much of an upcharge as long as you're okay not having the glass roof. If you're going to have, a solid roof anyway, you might as well just spend the $600 and get the solar charging thing just to give you some extra efficiency there. I think it's really a small price to pay. The one thing that's unfortunate, though, about the solar roof is that it's only offered here on the top XSE Premium as an option. So it only, something you're going to be able to get if you actually want to go all the way up to one of these top fully loaded versions of the Prius Prime. I'd really like to see them offer the solar roof on lower trims as well. I think that, could, again, be something of value for people who don't need to have cooled seats and, 360 cameras and all this other stuff, which is kind of overkill. The digital camera rearview mirror, they're all nice things to have, but, definitely not necessary, especially in a vehicle this small. I really hope they open up the availability of this solar roof, because I think it's a fantastically done, extra piece of efficiency here, a really cool thing here for the Prius Prime. It's not going to work for everyone's situation. For example, if you work from home, or if you work in a place where there's a parking garage and you park on a covered space, something like that, I can see that you wouldn't probably get much benefit out of the solar roof. But if you're someone who charges up every night in your garage, but then the car sits outside all day and you get direct sunlight all day on the car, then you could have 5 to 6 miles of electric range to drive home with. And so that's assuming you burn through the 40 miles or whatever that you got out of the battery from just the overnight charge. But it can save you some overnight charging there, getting you a little bit of extra range there, and also save you some gas as well. So, and honestly, I could have probably made it to 50 miles of electric range. It was just that that last 2 or 3 miles it burned through pretty quickly because I was going uphill and I was blasting the air conditioning on that final drive that was done electrically. But anyway, we're coming up some corners here that I always take, and I want to test it out on my own back roads here, see how this handles. And we're just in the normal mode here, but it doesn't have any kind of adaptive damper, so sport mode is not going to really help handling too much. But it handles really well, especially for something on 195 wide tires. And part of that is the fact that these are still pretty light. Even one of these loaded XSE Premiums, even with the solar roof and stuff, I think is around 35, 50 pounds, something like that. So it's actually fairly light still, and I love that about the Prius in my week with it here. Is it's just so light, and it's a nice small little car. It's one of those great little cars you get really comfortable in during the week. You can just whip it around, and it's easy to park, it's easy to maneuver, and it's easy. It's just easy to drive, and it just it's just a really nice experience to live with one of these things. I don't know, maybe that's just my personal preference. I love small cars, but it just was a really nice, thing as a result of that. And, yes, they decreased the headroom and decreased the trunk space. I didn't haul any large items this week, so trunk space didn't bother me. And headroom, me being 5'9", I didn't have any issues with the headroom all week. This one kind of helps having the solar roof because you don't have the lower roof of the glass roof there. But, no problems with headroom. I didn't feel claustrophobic in here. So, it's one of those things, if you have your seat down, especially to the lowest position, it's fine. Also, this gauge cluster, some people, and even myself, I was worried, maybe this will kind of block my view a little bit. But the week of driving here, it really hasn't. I mean, yes, it probably comes up a tiny bit into my field of view of the road here, but it's not like it blocks it in any way. And it hasn't been an issue. So I actually really like the gauge cluster. I like how simple it is, but it gives you all the information you want, very easily there, and I just really like that. Also, this 12-inch touchscreen is really nice. The wireless Apple CarPlay failed to connect once or twice, but aside from that, it worked really well. And even whenever it doesn't connect, you just have to go to manually, select I want to connect to CarPlay, and then it works just fine. So it wasn't a big deal even whenever it didn't connect. But the one thing is, you do have the volume knob way over on the passenger side, and it is a reach from the driver's seat here. So, I just got used to using my volume controls here on the steering wheel, which is fine, and I think most people use their volume controls on the steering wheel anyway, and that's great because then now the passenger has a nice handy volume knob there. But if you are someone who doesn't like using steering wheel controls and you like using the knob, it's not going to be a great experience for you because it is a little bit of a reach there. But that's really where my criticisms end for this thing. I mean, it is really just so much fun, and I just really like driving. I love the power of it. It's so fast, even in electric mode. I was doing like 75 miles an hour on the highway and doing accelerations and passes on the highway, merging onto the highway. It's really so much power from this electric motor that, yes, this is an electric Prius as long as you keep it charged up and you don't have to kick on the gas engine. And even whenever you have depleted the battery like I have here, it's still, since you have that stronger electric motor here in this new generation Prius, both for this and for the regular Prius, it's able to actually do a good bit of electric driving here even whenever the battery's depleted. So I mean, it's a lot of the drives that I've been doing have been over 50% of the driving is done electrically still, even with the depleted battery here. And so as far as my efficiency numbers go too, it's telling me my total average is 71 mpg. It's not saying mpge, but I believe that is factoring in the amount of electric driving that I was doing, because I've been seeing in most of my drives during the week, once I did deplete the battery and was just going on the gas engine, I was doing anywhere between mid to high 40s up to about low 50s is the observed mpg I was seeing per trip. So averaging all of those out, I would say I was somewhere in probably the high 40s, low 50s as far as that goes. Now, one other thing that I gotta say is, as far as it also will quote you your actual miles per kilowatt hour as far as how the electric efficiency is whenever you're in the electric mode. And for that, it was telling me I was getting 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, which I also have to say is pretty commendable, because that kind of efficiency you get out of some pretty efficient electric vehicles, and yet this is toting around a gas engine, a full tank of gas as well. You'd probably even get some better efficiency by just not topping off the tank and having just enough gas in there for a backup if you're really going to use this as an EV basically. But still, 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, I'm pretty happy with that too. That's top notch. Now this is the warmer months here in Pittsburgh, so I'm not running heat or anything, but I am happy to say though that in the electric mode it was still able to run full air conditioning, was still able to do the cooled seats and all that very well. I wasn't able to test out the heat to really see how well that works here in the electric mode, but it's just very impressive with the whole electric operation of this thing. And it's also great that the solar roof can also keep the accessories running whenever you are driving the vehicle, but it can only charge the battery whenever you're stopped. So if you're on a long road trip, hoping if it's a sunny road trip that the solar panels can keep you running, unfortunately it can't help you there, but it will help your efficiency because it's able to run those accessories off the solar roof instead of having to use the gas engine or the battery pack to run that instead. But now even when the gas engine's running too, it's also not slow with the gas engine either. The gas engine, and then those electric motors that do kick in, even with, you know, depleted battery, once again, it still is a good amount of punch. And I actually found myself, you know, spinning the tires several times during the week. Obviously 195s are pretty easy to spin with this much power. Again, 220 horsepower total in this, but it just, I was able to, like, you know, step on it and actually, like, it put a smile on my face. Like, it's fun to drive. It is truly fun to drive. And I still stand behind what I said in my original review, where I said, basically, if you want an automatic Civic Si, I think this kind of fills that role. Obviously, it's a lot more fuel efficient than the Si. It doesn't have, you know, limit slip differential and the sportier tire setup, but with sportier tires, you know, I think this could actually be kind of a cool alternative to a Civic Si, and you know, give you actually technically more power than a Civic Si with 220 horsepower here. And so I think it's you know, just a really fun, genuinely sporty vehicle. As an enthusiast that, you know, loves fast cars, I actually really love my week here with the Prius Prime. And while the gas engine, you know, can get, you know, a little noisy whenever you are really on it, whenever it's just running in the background to keep the vehicle going, again, even with the depleted battery, in the hybrid mode here, a lot of times it will just be kind of idling and keeping you going that way. And even out on the highway, I was really impressed. You know, I'm doing, again, 70 miles an hour out on the highway, and I barely hear the engine. So it's not like, you know, once you go through that electric power, that all of a sudden the gas engine is a miserable experience. It's still punchy, it's still pretty quiet, and it still, you know, gives you all the power you need. So it's really amazing how it is truly the best of all the worlds with this thing, where, you know, you don't have the range anxiety, but yet you have enough range for most people's actual commutes, so you can actually view this as an electric Prius that just has the backup and has none of the range anxiety. The last little thing I do want to mention is the JBL stereo, which I don't know what it is about these new generation JBL stereos and these Toyotas, but the past few vehicles that I've tested that have had these JBL stereos and these Toyotas, JBLs in the past have not been great. They're, you know, not very impressive by any means, but these new ones actually sound really good. Now, it's, again, it's not some amazing surround sound 3D experience or anything like that, but as far as average regular stereos go, it's towards the top of the pack. I still think, you know, like Honda has a better system with their Bose stereo in the Civics and stuff like that, but you know, aside from those Bose stereos in the Civic and maybe the one in the Mazda 3, that one's also certainly better than this. But aside from those two, I'd say this is pretty close to the top there. You know, I'd say it's a strong third place as far as, you know, vehicles in the, you know, compact sedan segment here. So it's something, if you know, are someone who's into music, I'd say going for the JBL upgrade is probably worthwhile. And the last thing I want to mention here is this vehicle's as tested price is $42,510. And so again, this is a fully loaded XSE Premium, because that's the only way you can get the solar roof, and that adds, you know, the $610. This one also has the advanced technology package, which does give you the 360 camera and a couple other things. It has the digital camera rear mirror for $200. You know, so I think you can definitely save some money. 42 and a half, you know, sounds a little high, but honestly, still, for what you're getting here with, again, the best of all the worlds and everything, I think even that's a reasonable price to pay. But if I were building one of these myself, mine probably I'd go for, you know, I don't know if I'd go for the XSE Premium here, just because for my situation I wouldn't use the solar roof very much, because it would just sit in the garage most of the time. But you know, if you are someone who doesn't work from home like I do, and, you know, you're going to use a solar roof, definitely I'd say go up to one of these XSE Premiums. But if you're someone like myself, works from home or something like that, where you're not going to be able to use the solar roof, or you just want the glass roof instead, the way I would build one of these, even with the glass roof, I'd say it'd be around $38,000. So definitely, you know, more reasonable, and that's, again, not including any kind of tax credits you could get for the plug-in hybrid thing in your state and all that. But you know, like, this 12-inch screen is really nice, but it's only like $735 to upgrade on an XSE to go up to this screen. But if you want to save some money, I think the 8-inch screen is going to be totally fine too, and that also relocates the volume knob over to the driver's side if that's something that irks you. And we'll end with an acceleration here. And immediately wanted to spin the wheels, and I'm already up to, you know, over the speed limit basically. So I mean, it is really quick. It is so cool what they did with the Prius and the Prius Prime in particular here, you know, with the extra power, so much range, and just a nice car to live with and drive. 100%. If I wanted something that got a good fuel efficiency, or wanted something with some electric range and that best of both worlds thing, and, you know, if this car fit what I needed in life right now, 100% I would go for it. I really, really love it, and I would own one in a heartbeat. So anyway, that's all of my thoughts here on the Prius Prime. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks to Toyota for providing me here with the Prius Prime to review for you guys today. Yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Please also leave a like, comment, and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.